Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you live in an apartment, you know the struggle. That slow, unreliable Wi-Fi, it's a nightmare. Well, today we're going to dig into how to fix it by tackling two key settings that, honestly, almost everyone gets totally wrong.
All right, so the guide we're pulling from today is part 4 of a really detailed 10-part tutorial. It's called Reducing Wi-Fi Interference in Apartments, and it's by a group called RFI Detectives. Now, this is aimed at folks who are pretty tech-savvy, so we're not going to waste time on the basics. We're jumping straight into the nuts and bolts so you can get your network running like a pro.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, the source material uses this fantastic analogy. It's super simple, but it works perfectly. Just imagine your Wi-Fi network is a car, and you're trying to drive it on a super congested highway.
And this quote from the guy just nails it. It says, if channel selection decides which lane you drive in, channel width and transmit power determine how wide your car is and how loud your horn blares. Seriously, this one idea is the key to everything we're going to talk about. To beat that apartment Wi-Fi traffic jam, we've got to tweak the size of our car and, how loud we're honking our horn.
Now, your first instinct is probably bigger is better, right? Get a huge car, a massive horn, just power through. But in a crowded apartment building, that's the exact opposite of what you want to do. That more power approach, it just creates a massive pileup. More collisions, more chaos, and it slows everybody down, especially you.
All right, so let's break this down. First up, we're tackling the width of your car. In the world of Wi-Fi, this is what we call channel width. So what is channel width? Well, think of it as the size of the radio frequency lane your router is trying to use. Now, in theory, a wider lane can carry more data, which sounds great, and for anyone in an apartment, this is the part you really need to hear. That wider lane also spills over into your neighbor's lanes. It basically paints a giant bullseye on your back for interference.
And the guide we're referencing could not be clearer on this. For that super crowded 2.4 gigahertz band, you just have to go narrow. Trying to use a wide 40 megahertz channel in an apartment, it's like trying to shove a monster truck down a bicycle path. It's just not going to work. So the rule is simple. Set it to 20 megahertz and just leave it there.
So here's the bottom line. That 20 megahertz setting, that's your own clean personal lane. You get way fewer collisions with your neighbor's signals, which means a rock-solid, reliable connection. But go for that wider channel, you're just overlapping with everyone, soaking up all their noise, and forcing your router to resend data over and over. And guess what that does? It absolutely tanks your speed.
Okay, that's the car's width sorted. Now let's talk about the horn. That is, your router's transmit power.
Yeah, to put it simply, this setting is basically the volume knob for your router. It controls how loud it's shouting, which determines how far the signal physically travels. And here's the thing. Pretty much every router, by default, is set to scream at the top of its lungs.
And this is probably the single biggest mistake people make with their Wi-Fi. You log into your router settings, you see a slider for power, and what do? You crank it all the way up to 100%. You're thinking, yeah, more power, more speed. But in an apartment, that is literally the worst thing you could possibly do. See, when you blast your signal at full power, it doesn't magically stop at your drywall. Nope. It bleeds right through into your neighbor's places. And guess what? Theirs bleeds into yours. All you're really doing is contributing to this massive, invisible cloud of radio noise. It's like being in a room where everyone is shouting. Can anyone have a clear conversation? No way!
So the goal here is completely different. You want your signal to be strong inside your apartment, but as weak as possible the second it gets outside your apartment. You're trying to lower your own contribution to that background noise. And there's a cool side effect. Doing this can actually encourage your devices to jump onto that faster 5 gigahertz band, because its signal doesn't travel as far anyway. But here's what I think is so great about this guide. It's not just about what to change. It gives you a pro-level method for how to do it. And honestly, this is the difference between just randomly clicking buttons and actually engineering a solution.
Okay, listen up, because this is critical. Before you touch a single thing, you have to save your current settings. I mean it. Take a screenshot, write it down on a piece of paper, export the config file. I don't care how you do it, just do it. Because if you make a change and everything breaks, you need a way to hit the undo button. If you don't have that starting point saved, you're just lost.
You really have to approach this like a scientist. Step 1, record everything. That's your baseline. Step 2, change one thing, and I mean one thing. Don't touch the channel width and the power, just change the channel width. Step 3, test everything. Walk around with your phone, run some speed tests. Step 4, verify. Did it actually get better, or did it get worse?
This is the only way you'll ever know what's actually working.
And this right here shows you exactly why that method is so important. The amateur move? Change 5 things at once and hope for the best. And hey, maybe it gets better, but you have no idea which of those 5 things did it. Or it gets worse, and now you have no clue what to change back. The pro approach is methodical. One change, one test. That way you know exactly what helped or hurt. Your results are clear, and you're always in control.
You know, when you finally do all this and you do it the right way, you're not just fixing your own internet, you're actually making things better for everyone in your building. You become a good Wi-Fi neighbor.
And that's the real mindset shift here. The Wi-Fi spectrum in an apartment building, it isn't your private property. It's a shared resource, and it's super limited. Think of all the routers as people trying to talk in the same small room. The goal isn't to be the one who shouts the loudest. The goal is for everyone to be able to have a clear conversation.
And really, that's the beautiful thing about these 2 simple tweaks. By shrinking your channel width and turning down your power, you are literally pulling your Wi-Fi signal back inside your own walls. You're cleaning up the airwaves for everybody.
So, what's the end result of all this? Well, for you, it's pretty awesome. Higher speeds, lower lag, and way fewer of those annoying disconnections. For your neighbors, they get less interference blasting from your apartment. And for everyone, the entire building gets a more stable, more efficient Wi-Fi environment, all because you decided to be smart about it.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Go take a look at your router's settings and ask yourself this. Is your Wi-Fi just shouting into the void, adding to the noise, or is it actually communicating effectively? Because trust me, making that switch, it's a night and day difference.